Madam Egg, come forward, please. Yes, Elaine Golden Gealer, if you please, affectionately referred to as Madam Egg by myself.
Why not?
You know, the legal department told me I should never call you my favorite landlord, so I'm not going to do that anymore.
That's okay. You're my favorite rent control guy, so we're even. Last month, I had some fun with my PowerPoint presentation, but tonight, I plan to be more serious and tell you a little about myself. I was born into a family of left-wing Democrats, West Side Democrats to be specific, with a deeply held commitment to helping others. I have a master's degree in social work, and I studied to be a community organizer. I worked for over 10 years in South Central Los Angeles in protective services intake for abused and neglected children. I was active in the welfare rights movement and a union organizer at my social work office. I was a folk singer and lived in Berkeley, where I founded a coffee house. And I was in a singing group called the Women Folk. We recorded for RCA Victor Records and even had a few hits. In the late 70s, I was burned out as a social worker and moved to Santa Monica, where I was a renter and owned a condo. In 1978, I begged, borrowed, and sold everything I owned when an opportunity came up to buy an apartment building. In 1979, when rent control was voted in, I moved into my building and immediately noticed that one of my tenants drove a brand new Lamborghini sports car while I could only afford to drive a used Toyota. That made me question a rent control system that forced me to subsidize the rent of a wealthy tenant. In 2007, I was audited by the IRS because they could not believe I spent so much money on maintenance of my building. The auditor concluded that I really did spend the money. In 2012, my lender sent an inspector to my building. After he completed his inspection, he told me that out of over 500 buildings he had inspected that were built in the 1960s, mine was in the best condition. I think you can see from my background that we have more in common than not. Perhaps the only major difference between my background and yours is that I bought an apartment building in Santa Monica. There are 74% renters in Santa Monica, and you already have 4 pro-tenant rent control board members. Instead of appointing a 5th one, why not give your board some balance by appointing an experienced Santa Monica owner like me? Not only would I bring a unique perspective to the board, but I would also be the perfect replacement for Elsa Rosenstein because, like Elsa, I'm an older Jewish woman who lives near Todd, Flora. Finally, if I am selected, you can be assured that your meetings would be more exciting and entertaining, causing your TV ratings to spike. And last but not least, you could put an end to any of my future well-publicized PowerPoint presentations. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Madam Egg. Does anybody have any questions or comments for either of our applicants? Okay. Anybody wish to discuss any issues about our applicants? Or shall we have a motion?
I would just like to say I think I'm very impressed by the quality of both candidates, and I think they've shown a lot of preparation and coming to the meeting and sharing their remarks with us. So I really appreciate both.
Ditto. I only wish we had 2 seats to fill tonight. I really do.